How? Secret ballot.
They are ethical.
Take the money. Fine if you've taken the money. If who would know? They're saying they're agents. Who are the agents anyway? Nisisi too. Huh? So in fact, somebody is saying, let's look at ourselves. You know, the minute we start liberating ourselves, the minute we start seeing this problem actually is half of it can be solved by us. Fine, I'm not disputing that money is important. I have been told myself, you're not electable because you don't have money and you talk too much truth. You're not telling people what they want to hear. Okay? Which is fine. I ate even before I came to parliament. But what if we started focusing not on the minute, if you want to solve a problem, do not give power to others. But the way I'm seeing, we have given power to others. We think that our lot will change only if somebody else does it. We think that it's the politician to say, the questions just read like that. What are you doing about ethnic antagonism by youth? It is you. I should ask you back, what are you doing yourselves? Why wouldn't you? You're very smart people. Why wouldn't you know that I am not bad because I come from a different tribe? So, what is it that I will do? And I come from the remotest area of this country, for you who is in the other corner, and yet, so let's start taking back power for ourselves. The minute we start giving power to others is the day we cannot move. So let's start doing that. But that's easier said than done, and I accept, and really I know that perhaps it's not something that, is probably easy, but the minute we liberate our minds, we will be a step closer. We are here to listen to you because you gave us the platform on which we can go and legislate, and we've taken a lot of notes. As you can see, Senator Weta has a big booklet, and I have a small one, but I've taken as much as I can. We will definitely do that, and that's why we brought ourselves here. But ultimately, even for legislation, and again, the wage bill, let me just, 5 million people, there's about 6 million people employed. Senator Weta, the private sector actually has done its bit. Out of that, it's only 700,000 people that work for government. So the bulk of the workers are still with the private sector. But why is the public sector so attractive? Because every rich person we know is from the public sector. Everybody who is driving a big car is from the public sector. So in fact, people are shunning employment in the private sector because you will be made to account for things, you will be made to arrive on time, you will be made to do these things. Let's start having a value system that believes in hard work. And we are to blame as politicians to create an impression that there's shortcuts to really making and creating wealth. Public sector is just 700,000 people. And now with counties, perhaps maybe 800. Let me just add another 100,000. So again, but the wage bill is half the story. As Senator Wetangula has said, the corruption is where, the problems lie. That said, we will make sure, of course, that enough allocation is made to development and not just everything going to as Senate. I think we're looking at that. This year, there's a slight nominal increase of about 16% right now as part of the latest budget. But again, as Senator Weta has said, it is based on a percentage of a very old figure of 2013 audited accounts. Again, we will try and make sure that we're working with not history, but with what is happening now. I think I'll stop here. There's lots more, perhaps, but somehow I wrote something that I can't read here, but that said, again, let's be on the table in terms of referendum, because in the referendum, we must influence the questions as well. But again, Senator Weta, perhaps what we need to do is to create and facilitate somewhere where the youth can give us all this information, which can then be fed back into the mainstream. I don't know, have you met the BBI team? Have the youth met the BBI team? The Building Bridges initiative. Noted. Okay. Anyway, we'll pass that information as well. If the youth feel like you haven't been given enough time to influence the process, if you need more, we will definitely take it back to them. Okay. Thank you.
All right. I'm going to do a very quick. Muko sawa? Wacheni niwaambie. Tulieni. Tulia mzae. Kaa chini. Tulia. Number one, first things first. Youth agenda wameorganize kuna pizza. Si ndio? Hakuna pizza leo. Nini vipi? Walikuwa wametujenga na pizza jana, nilikuwa nafikiria kuna pizza leo. Anyway, a very quick one. The Honorable Raphael Tuju will be here next. So, mnajua Tuju ni gava, si ndio? So maswali zote za gava zinakuja, bado tuko hapa. So msitoke. Alafu baadaye Senator Sakaja pia atakuwa hapa. This is the People Dialogue Festival. So, maswali kwa gava, all these state actors must be asked questions. I don't want to talk a lot. I wanted to say only those announcements. And then we have a performance by Nyota Ndogo, who is in the house. So there's a lot in store. I'm going to take it back to the senator and the moderator.
Thank you. I will finish up with one or two things. Number one, young Kenyans. Our country is choking with corruption. Our country is choking with corruption. The president is crying. Everybody else is crying. You know what we must do? This country must destroy all sanctuaries of corruption, regardless of who you are. If you go to Brazil, one of the most popular presidents in the world, Lula, is in jail for 12 years. If you go to Korea, there is a woman who came here 3 years ago as a president. She's in jail for 24 years. We must jail everybody found guilty of corruption if we have to reclaim our country. Lastly, today is International Women's Day. And we must celebrate our women. I want just to share 2 tweets I sent out this morning about our women. And this is what I said in the morning. The first one, I join the women folk in celebrating the International Women's Day. Governments and persons in authority need not be reminded that women's rights are human rights, and that the equality between men and women is not anybody's option. Heko to mom, to wife, to sis, to daughters. My second tweet. My mother brewed busa and distilled changa to see us through school. And that is a fact. Having herself stopped school at standard 2, she dutifully checked our report cards to see what position you got and punished you promptly if you did not get a good position. She's 90 today, and at 90, she remains my icon. And I celebrate her like we celebrate all the women of this world. Young people, the future is not about you standing alone. The future is about a partnership. Youth is a transient slot in human life. You are a child, you are a youth, you will become an old person in the future. Whatever you do at whatever level in your life is as important as what somebody else is doing. Don't say that as a youth, don't profile yourself. You are a youth today, tomorrow you are a mother, next day you are a grandmother. So this transient position and slot in your life is when you are most energetic. Speak without fear or favor, act without fear or favor, fear no one except God and the law. And let's save our country. Don't be a lamenting team, be a proactive team that will stand up and walk. You don't have guns, you don't have prisons, you don't have anything, but you have a voice. Walk to the office of the president, to parliament, and tell them, including me, that you ought to have done this, you haven't done it, that's a dereliction of duty, reconsider your position. Those with conscience will do so. Tushikamane, tujenge nchi yetu. There are no angels that will come to build Kenya except ourselves. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you so much, Senator. Thank you so much, Senator. Yes.
Cheki. Ngoja, tulia, my friend. Ngojea, tulia. We will listen. It's a dialogue. It's dialogue, isn't it? It's dialogue. So relax, my friend. Relax. Let me say this. You know, yeah. I'm giving him. But lazima tuelewane. All right? I said when we were starting that we are not going to shout. I said that. Sindio? We're not going to shout. If you have a question, you ask. You don't shout. That is very clear. All right? So you don't call people names. Okay? Discipline is paramount. That is number one. Number two, even that is discipline. Number two, we have timelines for everything that we are doing. All right? We would want the senator to be here to ask, but he is also busy. We have to consider several things. All right? We would want everyone to keep speaking, but there are other leaders who have to come in and you have to engage with them. All right? So since the senator has intervened, I'm going to give you an opportunity. Come down. I'm going to give you an opportunity.
Actually, there were about,
and then
I had seen these people. They really wanted, so can you agree that
we will do this. We'll do this. Just relax, man. Relax. Let me do this. Let me do this. I'm going to take, we cannot take everybody. That is a fact. We cannot take everybody. Bro, I said, I'm talking about discipline. Have I called you? I've not called you. No, I've not called you. Go back. So I'm going to take two, these two. 3, all right, cool. Umetetewa. I'm going to take 3. We cannot take everybody. We cannot exhaust it. So let's take these 3. I will invite the senator, the Honorable Tuju is here. So I want him to come in, but we have to finish this session. Sasa. So wacha waulize swali, wakimaliza, we see what happens next. But let's maintain this. Sisi ni vijana, to maintain discipline. Sasa. So these guys will ask a question and then we finish this off. Teke. Ikuwe tu swali moja na waomba sasa. Ikuwe tu swali moja haraka.
Habari zenu vijana. Mimi swali yangu ni direct kwa waheshimiwa. Na ni about extrajudicial killing. Ama execution. Nafikiri wakati tunakuwa campaign, vijana ndo tunatumikaga sana. Na ikifika time, mheshimiwa ameingia parliament, kitu ya kwanza anafanya ni kufunga vioo na kuchange routes. Sasa, nikihesabu saa hizi zile kesi nimehandle za extrajudicial execution, ni mingi kushinda uwezo wangu. Mbunge wangu simuoni. Sawa. Na sidhani kama nyinyi wenye mko kwa Senate ama wenye wako kwa bunge hawajui kama vijana wana madwa ovyo. Nyinyi kama wabunge, kama Senate, mumefanya nini? Mumezungumzia nini? Sijaisikia mmezungumzia mambo extrajudicial execution. Vijana daily, hata sasa hivi vile tunazungumza, kuna karawa wamechapa kijana. Sijui kama nizungumze Kizungu ndio tutaelewana ama nizungumze Kiswahili.
Lakini harakishe.
Sawa.
Harakishe kidogo.
It is painful. The more harakisha ndo the more, we've been there together with this fight, eh?
Yeah.
The more harakisha ndo the more vijana wanaharakishwa mtaani wakimadwa. So mimi nataka kuget it from this honorable members, eh? Waniambie mimi kama kijana mnani protectaje kutokana na extrajudicial execution. Yo number 1. Number 2, approach ya corruption. approach ya corruption, tumebaki tu tukizungumzia corruption ya do. Alafu tunapewa tu lecture, watu wafungwe, sijui nini. Tuambieni tu honesty. Tuweke tu kweli juu ya meza. Corruption haitapigana na style ya kusema sijui nani afungwe. Turudi tu kwa morals. Turudini tu kwa morals, tuangaliane mimi na wewe. Kama wewe ni corrupt kuanzia kwa boma yako, ukipewa siti itakuwaje?
Sasa, I want to request, unless that question was directed to Senator.
Yes.
That's the only time we'll allow you to speak because of time.
Let me give him 1 second. Take
Okay.
it.
Thank you, sir. My question goes direct to Honorable Etangula. In the previous regime from 2013, you are really criticizing the former governor, who was not your party colleague. But currently you are having now Honorable Wamangati. I've never heard even one case. The other case tulikuwa ya Wilbaro. Hii sijasikia. I want you to clarify. When mtu wako akiwa kwa power, criticize. Wengine akiwa unamcriticize. And you are fighting corruption.
Asante sana kwa hii nafasi. Naitwa Dofan. So mi swali yangu ni ya policy kikamni wasanii. Mimi ni msanii. Wasanii I think wamekuwa held hostage juu kumekuwa na music policy yenye imekuwa hanging for years, right? Which for me if I kwa music policy nafaa kwa arts policy, right? So the thing is imekuwa ni kama carrot iko dangled too. Anytime politicians wanahitaji wasanii for kurali watu ndio ina bring you up, unaona? Which hiyo policy inafaa kuwa ni ku regulate na ku safeguard rights za wasanii. Because whatever is coming from outside inakamkaa cheap alternative. And so hatuwezi compete. So unakuta muziki yenye inachezwa ni ya nje, movies zinachezwa ni za nje. So you can keep up. Unaona? So for me nauliza what is to be done, because pia majority ya wasanii wanatoka wako predominantly from the youth groups, ndio? So like what is going to be done about that?
Thank you. Very quick answers.
Thank you very much, Mr. Senator.
My good young man about extrajudicial killings, my distinguished senator colleague here can bear me witness. I have brought a question to the floor of the Senate. I have moved a motion on the floor of the Senate to condemn extrajudicial killings. In my life as a lawyer, you may look at my history. Even in 1982, Ochuka, Okumu, Oburu, and the rest who overthrew Moi for 10 hours, I was their lawyer. I defended their rights. Some were hanged, some are still living. My law firm represents pro bono. When Kenyans were renditioned to Uganda, I worked with Alamini Kimathi, you probably know him, to bring some of them back. I've been at the center of these things, my friend. Asiyekujua hakudhamini lakini unadhamana. Kwa ule kijana wa Bungoma, nafikiri perhaps he comes from Bungoma, I fight corruption in each and every form and manifestation practiced by whoever. I fought Lusaka when he bought wheelbarrows, and I am focusing on Wangamat. If he does anything silly, I'll go down on him like a ton of bricks. Don't worry about that. Our duty is to fight corruption, and I agree with that young man, the shortage of morality in this country. Ata nyinyi vijana, I have sons of your age. When you talk with young people, nobody talks about earning money in this country anymore. We talk about making money, making deals. Nobody wants to talk about I earned money. Your sweat. Let's go back to the basics. When you see the thieves driving Range Rovers in town, we think theft is the way of life. We must change. How do we change? We must destroy the sanctuaries of shortcuts of corruption. And don't speak with anger, my son. When you get angry, you lose the point. You must remain level-headed for people to understand you. When you're angry, even those who want to understand you dismiss you. Take my number and look for me. I'll help you track down extrajudicial killings. 0722. Yes. 0722. Yes. 51. 0722 51 7302. And this is the phone. It's not a phone carried by my bodyguard. It's not a phone left in the office with my secretary. It's the phone I use. Call me anytime. I will be there for you. And remember me 2022.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Oi.
Ya wasanii, wapi yo msanii? If you watch the proceedings of the Senate, there is a matter on the floor, in fact, brought by Senator Sakaja, who I'm told is coming here, to protect your production, to protect your industry, to protect your innovations, so that every single time your music is played by any radio, any TV, or in any public place, you must earn from your sweat. There is a law coming through the Senate to protect you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Let's give them a big hand clap. Let's give ourselves a big hand clap. I know at times saa zingine si catch, lakini tumeambiwa tusikuwe tukikatch tu sana.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I hand over to
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Senator Weta and Senator Shiro. Asanteni sana. This transition is going to be very, very smooth. Thank you.
Always remember, Mundu, Homundu.
Asante sana, Senator Shiro. Thank you very much. We're going to do this transition very, very fast. As they greet each other, the Honorable Raphael Tuju will take his seat. All right? As they greet each other. So,
It says he has 10 minutes. We'll give him 20.
five questions.
Haya. I want to give this opportunity. It's been a fire, eh? Simuko na moto, mama. Hey, hey, hey. Hii moto, isipowe, as I told you, we are bringing state actors here. We are bringing state actors here. Na kazi yao ni kutujibu maswali, sawa? Remember to Facebook, on Twitter, at CMD Kenya, The hashtag is People Dialogue. Yeah. The Honorable Raphael Tuju is here. Raphael Tuju, karibu sana, wewe ni serikali. The People Dialogue Festival is the hashtag. All right? We set up the stage for this to happen. All right. I am told that we're going to invite Diana Sifuna is the next moderator. Diana Sifuna is the next moderator. She's also going to moderate another session beyond this. This session with the Honorable Raphael Tuju is very brief. All right? So I will request once again, tumeambiwa hapa usikasirike, ukipewa nafasi ya kuuliza swali, uliza swali specific, ndio tuulize maswali mingi, mheshimiwa azikava zote. And now I present my chairman, the CMD, I'm invite Raphael Tuju.
Hamjambo tena. My big business, my other profession is to usher people in. So allow me, although I'm not being paid to do it, I love ushering guests into the serious forums like this. Hamjambo tena. In the house, we have none other than my great friend. We have a story with him that at one point, I was an orphan in my community, and he was an orphan in his community. But the two orphans converged, and we conquered the exclusion, and we got what we wanted because, like Raphael Tuju will tell you his experience, he focuses on the ball, and he never winks until he hits the jackpot. From his experience, consistency and principle engagement in what you believe in will deliver you. That I can share with you. Amidst all odds, he has stood up and strong. And always where he stands, he wins. Next time, Raphael, I will be behind you. That's for sure. I know kuna mazuri where Raphael is. He is the Secretary General of a big party. And he's very good in molding parties. From NAC, Kenya, he was a chairman. And over to Mother Karua, the lady who spoke to us in the auditorium. He moved on to PNU. He formed government. Great man, I can tell you. He moved on, TNA, URP, he formed government. Can you clap for him, guys? Hey! Yeye mnafikiria ni mtu anakaa hapa kama sio kama mimi tu kidogo naweza teleza wakati mwingine. Lakini yeye akiangalia ameenda. Akasonga mbele baada ya TNA Jubilee akagonga Jubilee. Pia box iko ndani ya serikali. Hii mtu si mzuri sana. We want to know what secret he has to do and tell these guys how you can mentor them. But his rallying call is you don't have to make money through black market, black avenues. You can get your money by working hard. His principle is morality. He believes in moral uprightness. Put your hands together for a great man, Raphael Tuchu, Secretary General of the Jubilee Party, na minister katika serikali ya Jubilee. Kwani mutadu?
Vijana, hoye. Vijana, hoye. Are you happy? Are you happy with the discussions? Mmefurahia jo? Mmefurahia? Ukweli? Mnasikika? Sauti zetu zinasikika? Mimi nimesikia mtu mmoja by the sauti yake inasikika. Si ndio? Sauti yako imesikika? Ilisikika na yule seneta mwingine, si ndio? Sasa unataka kujua kama sauti yako itasikika huku kwingine. Political parties, vijana. Vijana, are we together? Yes. Sawa, karibu sana Senator Tuju. I was very worried about making your introduction. Sorry. I was very worried about making the introduction to yourself.
Yes, Senator.
Sekjen.
Yes.
Sekjen.
It's okay. Watufanya makosa.
Pole, Sekjen. Because you have done so much for the democratic space in Kenya. We have watched you from the time you were in primary school. Your journey in this political space, your passion for moral justice, as the chairman has mentioned, it is very noble, your cause, what it is. You've not been inconsistent. What we have seen in our leaders is the lack of consistency in the policies or the values they uphold as leaders. So hapa leo vijana wamekuja, kama youth agenda imeconvene vijana, tusikie kutoka kwenu na pia mtusikie sauti zetu, ili tuwe pamoja katika ile uongozi wenu. Whether it's in political parties, whether it is in government, now that you're here, karibu sana. So, should we start with questions ama tumuulize about youth inclusion? Youth inclusion, what have you done in your party, in your space, in your leadership to ensure that there's youth inclusion?
First of all, is it afternoon? Good afternoon, young people. I wasn't expecting this, so I was not very prepared to say too much, but I can make a few remarks by way of opening, then I can answer the questions. Is that okay for you? First of all, I just want to tell you that we live in very interesting times. And I also want to tell you that you are very, very important in this country. I also want to tell you, where did the rain start beating us in terms of the international context? May I stand? Okay, thank you. In the 1980s and 1990s, Kenya had the highest rate of population increase in the whole world, 4.2%. How many of you knew that? Yes? Kenya had the highest rate of population increase in the whole world. Unfortunately, during that time, the economy was not growing at the same rate that the population was growing. Also during that time, our governance structure had problems. We didn't have the democratic space that we have now, and there were a lot of sanctions from the international community in the economic front. So in many respects, things fell apart. Our roads fell apart. Our infrastructure fell apart. Our economy fell apart. And unfortunately, that is the time when you people were born. There is no country in the history of mankind that have had the kind of rate of population increase that we have in this country, that has gone on and become stable. Virtually any country which has had the type of population increase that we had, if they did not have an economic growth to deal with that population increase, they ended up in a revolution, violent one. And the first one, which is known to many people, is the case of Iran. In 1979, they had their youth population bulge, and they ended up with a revolution. Recently, within your living memory, we had the situation which busted out in Tunisia, a young man who had done computer science, could not get a job. He was selling in the streets. Then the Kanjo people came and overturned his fruits, and that is all he was relying on. He burnt himself. There was a riot, and the whole of that region had what is called the Arab Spring. Is this making sense to you guys? All right? So the problems that we have here is because of a multiplicity of structural issues. I'll put that in one corner for you people to appreciate. Of course, there are various reasons why we had that highest rate of population increase in the whole world. It was because of universal vaccination against various diseases, antibiotics availability, good health care during the first 10 years of Kenya's independence and so forth. More children survived, and therefore the population increased very fast. Put that in one corner. The next corner I want to tell you is that this country, Kenya, is very unique in the whole of Africa. This is the only country, and that those who are in the last meeting where I was across should forgive me for repeating this. This is the only country in Africa where you have the 4 races of Africa converge. When I'm talking about races in Kenya, I'm not talking about Indians and whites and Arabs. I'm talking about races as you'd see in Asia. For example, when you see an Arab, you know there's an Arab. He's Asian, but he's Arab. When you see an Indian, you know this is an Indian. He's Asian, but he's Indian. When you see a Chinese, you know this is Chinese. He's Asian, but he's Chinese race. In Africa, we have at least 4 races. All of them are represented in Kenya. In this room, you can tell who a Somali is just by looking. They're a different race. They're Africans, but they're a different race. You can tell a Borana when you see one. And you can tell a Nilot when you see one. And you can tell a Bantu very often when you see one, except in areas where there's been a lot of cross marriages. So you can see the Luyas and the Luos beginning to look the same, the Kisis and the Luos. But if you see a typical South Sudanese, tall, black, almost blue like me, it's kind of obvious. Are we together? Now, to bring all these races into one country, then compound this with religion, then you have a recipe for disaster in terms of conflict, in terms of people not being able to live together. And in this country, I can tell you we're very lucky. You may not believe it, but I'll give you an example which will make you realize how lucky we are. Within living memory, there are people who are alive today who are alive in 1939 to 1945 when the tribes of Europe were killing each other. They killed 45 million. The Second World War killed 45 million. It was an ethnic tribal war of the Germans against the French, against the English, against the Russians, and it was a tribal war. In Kenya, we had our tribal wars recently. In 2008, we killed 1,300 people. So I think you should understand the challenges that we have, even in the political arena. I can tell you the biggest challenge we have in this country today is ethnic polarization. And before we deal with ethnic polarization, we are almost wasting our time talking about corruption. Because as soon as you begin to deal with corruption, it takes an ethnic dimension. And yet, we are, most of us, in denial. All the political parties here involved here today, if you don't know which party belongs to which ethnic group, then you're being dishonest as a Kenyan, including all of you here. Nimesema uongo? That's the truth. Before we solve that, we are wasting our time. Yet, my hope is in you guys. Every weekend, I see young Kenyans marrying across the tribe. You are the only hope we have to address this challenge. In my generation, those of us who dared, we were such minority like him, such minority that they simply steamrolled on us. I was a member of parliament for Arieda. I could not survive not being in a Luo-centric party, irrespective of what I did for them. Yeah? So that is the challenge we have. So we can pretend, we can talk, we can say whatever we want to say, but that is the truth. All right? So that's all I want to say in terms of opening remarks. Thank you very much. Now I can answer the questions.
Guys, isn't it interesting that when we stood up to ask the first question to the former panelists, that we asked about ethnic antagonism, right? That was the question that actually came out first. And maybe a challenge that they posed to us as young people, they asked us, why are you asking questions all the time? So probably when you stand up in this session and you have questions for Mheshimiwa, please, could you bring suggestions? Say, against corruption, as a young person, this is what I think will help curb it. Against ethnic antagonism, this is what I think will curb the problem. Is that okay? Okay, so I think the first question we had already asked just about youth inclusion in what you have done in your tenure and what you continue to do now to support this transitional phase for us, because we're not going to be young forever. It's a very transitional phase, we change. Yes, thank you.
Well, you know, when I start saying what we have done for the youth, it's going to sound like propaganda, right? And I don't want to be in the propaganda business. The first thing I want to say is that 70% of Kenyans are below 35. So Kenya is, in essence, a young population. So when we are talking about empowering the youth, I'm actually thinking we must be talking about empowering everybody, because you are the majority. And unfortunately, young people are so marginalized. And I mean, all young people are facing very, very serious problems in this country. Whatever we do is very small. It's not enough. I'm the first one to admit that to you. I can read here, we have Chris Mark from Laikipia, the nominated member of parliament, all right? We are very proud of him. Hussein, as Hussein is here from Garissa. We did a very thorough job in making sure that they had the right profile, they could really contribute. We have Njoki from Moranga. Where is she? Is Njoki around? Yeah, there. All right. Now, but it's not enough. Because every year, including this year, I think you've seen that we tried to get 1 million kids who did Standard 8 to get to Form 1. That has never happened in the history of this country. Since 1964, our exam system has been what you call a sieving or elimination exam. It is, in fact, in 1966, it is President Kenyatta who banned what was called the CCE, Was it CE? Common Entrance Exam, CEE. There was an exam at Standard 4. And at Standard 4, if you didn't pass that exam, you couldn't go to Standard 5. What had informed that policy, that if you didn't pass exam at Standard 4, you didn't go to Standard 5? It was simply a sieving mechanism because there were not enough classes in Standard 5. But how a Standard 4 kid is about 9 years old. How do you decide a Standard 4 child to be stupid and should not go ahead with education? Likewise, this policy of ensuring that every primary kid goes to secondary. A primary school child is finishing primary at age 12 and age 13. How do you condemn that child that now they are stupid, they cannot go on with education? And therefore, you basically block their chances to become anything in life except being in the margins of society as laborers, as casual workers, and so forth. And let me tell you, if you go to the UK or the United States, where we borrow our education system from, they do not have Standard 8 exams for the last many years. And unfortunately, those who are privileged, like myself, my kids don't know what a Standard 8 exam is because they didn't do it in the US system where they went because I was out of the country that time. So Standard 8 exam is for the poor. Okay? So for this administration, this president, to insist that every child who has done Standard 8 must go to Form 1 is one of the biggest achievements that this country has done. You may not understand it. It is not getting headlines, but for me, it is the most important thing that this president has done for the sake of the youth of this country. The last time something like that was done was in 1966 when his father banned CEE. And when it was being banned then, as of now, as is now, the teachers didn't understand. How are we going to have kids in Standard 5 who have not gone through CEE? And that's why today some teachers, including unionists, are saying, how are we going to have all these kids in Form 1 who have not gone through Standard 8 exams? Absolute nonsense. All right? So for me, that is the biggest one. But we have challenges. When these kids who have gone to Form 1 now will be doing Form 4 in 4 years' time, we'll be having 1 million kids doing the transition to adulthood. According to computer simulations that we have, 60% of the young people we have today between ages 18 to about 26, 27, they will never have a job in their lives unless we industrialize. Because there is no precedent anywhere in the world, in the history of mankind, where they have made the transition from being a poor country to an advanced country or a affluent country where everybody has a job unless they make the transition from being an agrarian society to an industrial society. And that's why we are having the big four, and one of the pillars of those big four is industrialization. If only we could spend a little bit more time in ensuring that we actually make moves in those areas, then we'll make the difference for the youth. Anything else, like I don't know how many youth positions are available for nomination, how many youth positions are available for MCAs and I don't know, MPs and senators, one from each party, tokenism, nothing else. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sekjen. So this is from the party that is in government. Yeah? Vijana, ni sasa ni wakati wa kuuliza maswali. I don't know who's going to help me distribute the mic. Please ask as many questions as possible.
There are so many questions. Let's take as much as possible. Just give him a pen and paper so that he can be able to just jot them down. You can see all those forests of hands. We'll start with the gender. Okay, tuanzie hapa.
Thank you. My name is Mildred from Youth Agenda. I hear what you have said about, one or two positions for young people being tokenism. I mean, I understand that. But how are we expected to make any meaningful engagement if we're not at the table? It's fantastic. Jubilee has nominated young MCAs, but it is a constitutional requirement. I personally took the time to go through the Jubilee Manifesto. And one of the main things that came out in the manifesto is that 30% of all appointments and allocations in terms of budget will go to young people. Because you can't be talking about 70% of the population and they're not at the table. However, we have also seen the appointment list by the president. 3 out of 120 appointments made at any one time does not equal 30%. Appointments have just been made this past few weeks. Not even one young person sitting at the table. How do you expect us to make decisions at the table while we are on the menu?
Hands up, we'll take one on this side, Mohesh. We'll take one on this other side. Katikati, go happy. Katikati. Uko nyuma, yes. I can see that hand up there. Ya msanii. Alafu hapa. Where's balance? Where's balance for better? Balance for better hapo. Miss Ndoto na hapo. Aya, mheshimiwa, tuanze na hapa.
Thank you. My name is Kalunde. I come from Makueni, also representing Kenya Young MCS Association. I want to raise one issue. I want to ask Mheshimiwa his feelings and his thoughts on the China-Kenya relationship, and by extension, Kenya-Africa trade ties. Most of the people have defined the relationship China with Africa as the economic exploitation that they are doing to our country. For example, I come from a ward that, a county, Makueni County, where most of the SGR project passed through. And we had a lot of exploitation of our people on jobs and so many things. Most of the jobs that the Chinese are taking up in Kenya, they are taking jobs that can be taken by our people. So he must give us his views, and I think we should think more on the issues of expounding and giving youth more spaces, but we must fight because we cannot be given the spaces without fighting. I think Mheshimiwa wanted to say something.
Mheshimiwa hapana. Tutaanza kuharibu sasa. Wacha tufanye wale tumechagua, si ndio? Wewe kuja karibu.
My name is Abaran Gidenji from Nyeri County. I have one question about industrialization. When you look at the population of Kenya, we have a very high penetration rate of people using phones, people using smartphones. So what I ask, you're talking about industrialization. We have a place like Konza City. I have not heard the government talking about that Konza City when it will be completed. And if we can have Konza City working, we could have people making smartphones. We can have people making also very, very many electronic gadgets. The other thing, The Chinese came here around 20 years ago. And until now, we are having very big projects being given still to the same Chinese, and we are not seeing any transfer of technology to our young engineers. When you look at the engineers working at the Chinese farms, they are just desk officers. When is this going to change? Because we cannot continue having just foreigners taking all our jobs, and we are still having graduates leaving Nairobi University, Moi University, JKUAT. Last year we had around 50,000 graduates graduating. Where are they supposed to go? We don't want our graduates to be Uber drivers or border riders. We want to get real jobs, and from there we can develop. Thank you.
With all due respect to the Uber drivers too, yeah?
Hi, sorry, just to remind the people asking the questions, kindly please also think about the solutions. Tell us, what do you propose? You have thought through these problems. They are a headache to you, to our society, but you must have thought about a solution as well. So kindly, thank you.
Okay, I'm Priscilla Mukiri from Single Mothers Association of Kenya and working also for the government. I'm a teacher by professional. And I'm happy the way the Honorable Tuju has talked about education. In education, you find that there are different departments. I'm in the Department of Adult Education, and I've been there for more than 15 years now. And you find that in this department, there are many youths who volunteer themselves of the employed as part-time teachers, whereby that they get small token, that is about 2,000 per month. And that money, you are not even sure whether you'll get that money. So you find that there are many people who want to help the ones who have dropped from the school, so that they may get that education. Like here we have about 8 girls. They are doing KCP this year. But you find that these teachers, they work tirelessly as part-time teachers, and you are aging, being promised that you'll get vacant when the others will retire. Like the ones who were employed in 1979, this year and last year, they are retiring and next year. But you find this part-time teacher has been there, and when the employment comes, will not be recognized. They'll just take fresh people from nowhere without even knowledge of teaching. So what are they doing so that at least, even when these will retire, they'll accommodate the part-time teachers in this career so that they may help the ones who have experience, they may help the people who have dropped from school, they may eradicate illiteracy in the community. Thank you.
There was one more somewhere in...
I'm sorry. The Honorable would like to leave, so maybe just one more from
the lady.
The sister there.
Sister.
Mora. And then the university students, as he really has to leave.
From Mora.
So one last question.
Just one last, then I'll take one last round after this, yeah? So we'll say, okay, fine.
My name is Elizabeth Mora Gabriel. Nataka kuuliza mkubwa Tuju swali. Mimi ni mwimbaji msanii. Na talanta yangu nang'ang'ana kujivunia kuwa Mkenya, lakini sioni Ukenya yangu ikinisaidia. Nakwambia mkubwa Tuju, sasa nikikuonyesha zile ukatuni nimeifanya, wewe mwenyewe utashangaa. Nang'ang'ana siku ya Mashujaa Day, nenda na book, nilienda Kakamega sikupata chance. Mashoti hatupati chance. Uking'ang'ana wakanyagwa chini. Tutaenda wapi? Na kuomba uangalie hii picha kwa sababu masaa yameyoyoma. Wewe mwenyewe ukiziona utashangaa feri. Nikicheza na governor, not governor, Mheshimiwa Jagwa, not Jagwa. Listen. Even this, niki-entertain Mombasa, nasifu Kenya yangu. Lakini sipati chance, tunaambiwa sisi ni walemavu, hatuwezi pewa gap. Kwa hivyo naomba ututetee Tuju. Tafadhali, sina mengi ni hayo.
Okay, so we'll take one more round, eh? Thank you very much, SG. Yeah.
Okay. Let me start with the 30% from my daughter from Youth Agenda. First, I said that what has to be given constitutionally, like number of young people that have got to be nominated and so forth, those are constitutional, but I still consider it tokenism because not all the youth can benefit from it. It's the same challenge we're even having with mainstreaming of women through nominations, and now I've heard stories that, oh, those who are being nominated are just slay queens of politicians. So there's a lot of controversy around this. What is important for us is how can we bring everybody up? We have the rule of 30%, not only in terms of appointments, but also in terms of government contracts. But even that, in the Kenyan style, get rigged. Yeah? It's the sons and daughters of the well-connected. Okay? We all have children. I confront my kids to be youth and therefore benefit. So, the Kenyan style, there's too much rigging going on. But one of the things we have to appreciate is that we are having this problem because of poverty. If we were not so poor, we would not be fighting this much. It would not be so vicious. And I always give the example of some women in my village when they're getting some guests, in-laws who are coming, and they borrowed cups from the next village. Unfortunately, some next home. Unfortunately, some of the cups, china, got broken. All right, then they started fighting. You have broken my chinaware, which I had lent you. If they were not poor, everybody would be having their chinaware. They would not be borrowing. Is this making sense to you guys? So part of the challenge we have is poverty. And because of poverty, that is why my sister Priscilla is talking about when are we going to get fair treatment. Because the government has challenges in terms of being able to employ everyone. The government can't employ everyone already. And you heard the president talk about it the other day, that 52% of our national budget is being consumed by less than 1 million people who are working for government. Is it sustainable? No. So we have to look for every way of making sure that we cut down our wage bill so that we can have some money to do real development. I've not analyzed the list that you're talking about. So many people appointed, and only 3 were youth. I don't know. I don't have the profile of the ages and so forth. But should a person lose an opportunity to be employed when they have just hit 38? So the job should be given to a person who is 36. Is youth by itself a qualification? Is youth by itself a qualification? It can't be. No, that's what you say, but it can't be the only qualification. All right? All right? So, they're all, we can argue about this, but I'm asking the question. I'm not giving you the answer. The answer is yours. You can debate it. All right? And if we say 30%, say, of contracts should go to the youth, if you audit that, did it go to the right youth? Maybe not. So the bottom line for me is that the biggest challenge we have is first and foremost poverty. So we have to deal with this poverty issue, and that's where we're talking about industrialization and getting our country to move to the next level. I know I have the opportunity to deal with the president so many times, even on issues of appointment. And he tries to go county by county, even when people are being appointed to boards and the rest of it. He tries to go county by county. Why? The biggest problem we have in this country is ethnic polarization. If people don't see their community there, they don't care how many youth you have put there. So there's so many other variables that have to be considered. But I'm not saying we can't do better. We can do better. And I think we should strive to do better in mainstreaming of youth in every respect. Let me go to the China question. You have to put China in context. I can tell you it is not easy. But let me just give you an example. Once upon a time, you used to hear that we were borrowing money from IMF, World Bank, and so forth. I was responsible in working with the former president in redefining our policy in terms of international borrowing. Sometimes, the World Bank would borrow money from China Development Bank and then lend it to Kenya at a higher percentage. It's fact. So don't just go hitting at China. These things are much more complicated than that. Take the SGR, for example. Out of 34,000 fast-speed trains in the whole world. 34,000 kilometers of fast-speed trains. There are 34,000, sorry, let me put it this way. There are 34,000 kilometers of fast-speed trains in the whole world. 70% of these are in China. They have the technology, they have the finance, they have the capacity to do it. The center, as far as infrastructure, and including trains, are concerned, has shifted east. China today is the second biggest economy in the whole world. Indeed, I don't know of any country in the world today which can finance a project like the SGR. The last time any country was able to do that was in the 1800s when the British built the train line, the railway line from Mombasa to Kisumu and later to Kampala. That was the era of the British Empire. They don't have that capacity now. They don't have the money for it. That is the truth. I know Jubilee has been accused that we are over-engaging with the Chinese government, the Chinese Communist Party, and all manner of things. I want to tell you, and you're young people, and you should be critical, and you should be analytical. In 1978, I was in high school. Most of you are not born. In this lifetime, in 1978, I can tell you, the GDP per capita of Kenya was higher than the GDP per capita of China. I repeat, the GDP per capita of Kenya was higher than the GDP per capita of China. We were around $500. They were at about $300, $350. Today, we've just crossed to 1,500. They're at 9,000. Their GDP per capita has gone up several times. So we must be ready to learn what is it they did so that they've been able to develop so fast within one lifetime, within one generation. Yes, we must ensure that we don't sell our country to them. We can't allow them to come here and do the kind of jobs that we can do. They themselves have got a lot of challenges. If they can exploit us, they will. But our relationship with them is at an embryonic stage. So all I like to caution you is that we can critique, but let us be more analytical. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Do you have time for more questions?
I'll take one last round.
Just one last round.
Of
there was a
5
student
questions.
association, there was a young politician. So there's a student.
Who's the student? And then the other one?
There's a young politician
The young politician.
here, the young MCA. It's Women's Day. Can we have ladies ask questions?
Yes, Miss Ndoto.
Can we have women representative, please? I think there are two here.
Okay, we'll start with him first.
Okay.
My name is Makori Orina. I'm the Commander-in-Chief of the Unarmed Comrades, and I'm also a member of the Jubilee Party. The people here are young people. Mr. SG, look at their faces. Most of them are disillusioned, simply because we looked at the Jubilee Manifesto, and in the manifesto, there were promises that were given to these young people. It was a covenant. Number one, there was the issues of internships that were going to be paid. But after Jubilee got into power, I'm still a member, but I'm asking you, Bwana SG, because you sit on the cabinet, the moves that have been made by the government are affecting these young people. The first issue was the move by the cabinet secretary, the former cabinet secretary, Amina Mohammed. She was proposing that these young people be arrested for defaulting on help, but they have not been given those jobs that we were promised. Another issue, there is the National Youth Council that is supposed to advocate for the issues of young people. On a forum like this, where are they? The young people are seated here. They want to listen to the people who are supposed to streamline their issues, but they are only putting tents there. They don't want to come here and discuss with these young people. So we are asking those agencies that have been tasked with putting the lives of young people to check on their issues, let those agencies work for the young people. Something like the NOIC. We want elections to be conducted so that the able young people who have the skills be given those positions. Amaje vijana? Because these people are skilled. When you give us the analytical between China and Kenya, these young people want you to give them hope, not comparison. Because if you're siblings and you're compared to your elder brother, how will you feel if he's successful and you're not successful? If it's the issues of jobs, let the young people be given jobs. If it's the implementation of a Big Four, let the young people be involved. Because we as student leaders, we have never been called on board to discuss the issues of the Big Four. Let us be brought on the platforms so that we discuss those issues. Thank you, Bona SG, with so much respect.
Thank you. Next question.
Good day. My name is Miss Ndoto, and I think I have a solution. I produce the next taxpayer. Without a taxpayer, there is no government. So what if young people stop producing taxpayers? Yeah. And we use this as leverage to negotiate with the government. So you want a taxpayer, no worries, we want this, we want that, rah, 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 etc. We move from the highest birth rate in the world to the lowest birth rate in the world to start a revolution. Your thoughts, your feelings on this? Thank you.
Thank you. That's a very good question. Next, behind you, there's a lady behind you, and then we'll come to the MCA. Just a minute.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Bridget Siante. I come from Kajiado, and I'm a student leader at Moi University. Two things. First, most times we go out as student leaders, and one of us is injured or is killed by the police, but no one follows up on what happens to whoever killed the student. There was a case at Meru University. One of us was killed. Amnesty International, KYPA took it among themselves to follow that up. But we didn't see the government chipping in and helping us to find out who did it, and if whoever who was found, the person who was found was taken up, but no one really, we don't know what happened from there. At the same time, I am a sports person, and I would really like to pass this to you. Most of us go out there to represent the country. They do so well. The athletes, everyone goes out there and does so well. But what is the government doing to ensure that they have a good life when they go out there? Because I have gone out to represent the country, and I was forced to sleep in a school hostel, and I'm going out there to represent the country. I would really like to go out there and sit in a good hotel, because at the end of the day, I am giving good. I am putting the name of my country on top of the list. Thank you.
Thank you. Can we just finish so that we can go to the next round? We are still talking about youth matters, guys. I'm telling you, we're talking about youth matters. Two more?
Three more.
Three more,
so
okay.
We take
so three more.
Mheshimiwa OJ, where is OJ? So, is over there.
Okay,
And a
sawa.
lady. Yeah.
There was a gentleman
lady.
here waiting.
Thank you. My name's Luke Opora. I represent the youth in Bungoma and the Deputy Majority Chief Whip. First and foremost, Bwana SG, we want to commend your party Jubilee for nominating brilliant young men in your party who are here. And I want to recognize the Deputy Speaker of Garissa, who is also a young man. Welcome so much, sir. First and foremost, it's like the comrade was reading my mind, because the agenda and the manifesto of Jubilee really promised these young people about the internship issue. And Bwana SG, the Constitution of Kenya, Article 55, states clearly that the state shall take measures, including affirmative action programs, to ensure that the youth access relevant education and training. These young people really need to be assisted by this Jubilee administration. Personally, I come from Bungoma County, which was a NASA region as per se, but right now we are on the handshake period, so we are living as a country as one. But it's true, Bwana SG, we as the young people from the other region of this country, we are really not feeling the government. We're really not feeling the government, and what we are asking, I agree with you about the issue of industrialization. It's a way that can create employment for so many young people. But what is the government doing to take transformative measures to ensure that we can even start cottage industries, to ensure that these young people can get employment? Because, Bwana SG, these young people have gone to school, they are well educated, and it is the obligation of the state to ensure that these young people get employment. Thank you.
Thank you. 2 more questions and we're done. Please.
Check. Bonatuju, to me, I want to go beyond the politics of Kenya and perhaps look at what we call the EALA, East African Parliament, and more specific to how it was, the composition. My name is Dave, and I run a campaign called Justice for Lake Victoria, using creative arts as an advocacy tool to push for a mindset shift, so that we can protect Lake Victoria, which can employ a massive number of people, especially the young people. Talk about transport, water sports, and so forth. But how does these 3 governments just don't do so much to protect a resource that is the livelihood of over 35 million people who live around the lake basin? You're talking about even probably another 440 million people if you connect Lake Victoria with the Nile. We are talking about a symbol for our East African unity, something that we are talking about when we talk about Pan-Africanism. But then when it comes to the positions that can actually make people implement ideas that can give people opportunities, like what we are doing, but then there's not so much support. And then if you look at how people who are given these positions at EALA, and you wonder, what are these people doing? Aren't they having a plan to change the region so that we actually unite for real? Because you cross to Tanzania and they give you a stamp for 2 weeks. But when you go to Uganda, you cross the border, you get 3 months, which is the constitution that says the minimum is about 3 months, according to how the border works. But then why do they really make Kenyans feel like they're not so much welcomed in Tanzania? What is the EALA mandate? And the opportunities that this institution can present to the millions of youth around East Africa. Thank you.
All right, thank you. One last question.
Okay, who do we pick? A lady?
I feel like it should be a lady.
A lady, yeah?
Yeah.
So let's give it to a lady because...
But vijana,
kijana.
Calm down, guys.
Diana, it's your call.
Bado tutaongea. Bado tunazungumza. We are still definitely going to talk. Okay. Okay. This young man has traveled far to come here and participate in this, and he's going to take the last question, and we're going to request Mheshimiwa to give us a chance. The lady in green, kindly just come down so that we have the final 2 questions. Sasa, the session is still going on. Don't worry, we still have more discussions coming. Hatutoki hapa leo. Sawa? Tutaongea. Asante.
Mini hustler. I graduated in 2013. Up to now, I don't have a job. I'm asking one question. Why are you pushing me so hard to join Al-Shabaab? That's my question.
Thank you. That's a very critical question. He graduated in 2013. He's not found a job. So that's a question on employment. We'll give a chance to SG to answer the question. Last question.
Thank you very much. Honorable Tuju, yesterday we had a heated argument about corruption. I personally said I was representing the KTN, where we all agreed KTN is Kenya Tamaking Network. I'm a graduate myself, but I have an issue which is also a solution. The way people are saying that Chinese has taken most of our jobs around, Sindio, I had a chance to go and visit a friend at Ongata Rongai, and we had a morning run up to where there is a standard gauge railway, like a ground where they are doing their thing. And I found so many youths there looking for jobs. Do you know why they are not getting the jobs and they brought in the Chinese? I don't know if it's gutter press, but it's because munatuletea TVET. Most of us are privileged. We went to higher institutions. Wale wanaenda utu to technical colleges, wanalipishwa school fees. They are not even able to afford. So what do I do if I want to be a mechanic? Naenda kwa rafiki yangu mwenye ni mechanic, ananifundisha. I have all the skills but sina papers. Ikikuja ni kama plumbing ama nini huko SGR, naambiwa nitoe papers. Sina. Mchinese anaenda analetwa because for them, they are formal, it's almost free, they have papers, they are brought in to work. Please, can you look at it that from this angle that even at TVET, it's so subsidized so much, or to the lowest in such that anybody can go there, get a certificate, and be able to work. Because I also said that I vied. Unapata mtu anakuja akona hiyo hata certificate ya TVET. Hana 1,000 ya kulipa National Construction Authority apewe license. Na mimi niligraduate nikapewa degree, naenda tu natoa nipewe kazi. Huyu mwenye alienda TVET alipewa diploma yake ama certificate. Mbona lazima tena aende alipe 1,000 so that apate hiyo job? Na ni job tu ile, I don't know what to call it. Please, thank you.
Asante. Let him pick that round of questions. Then we'll continue with the conversation. Hatutoki hapa leo. Asante.
Well, thank you very much. You've raised a lot of issues. But let me tell you, I'm very happy about what I'm hearing. I'm extremely delighted. Because in this country, when I read our newspapers, every day, the only thing which seems to matter is politics. Politics every day. Why aren't we talking about these things? Jobs, opportunity. It doesn't sell, right? But I think that it is incumbent upon all of us, to change the thinking, the paradigm, so that we can really deal with the issues which are important. I'm going to make my final remarks, but before I do that, let me attempt to respond to some of your questions. You're disillusioned. And I can understand where you're coming from. All right? When I left school, just like most of you, I came from a very poor background. I didn't have any connections to get jobs in high places. I didn't inherit anything. There was absolutely no way out for me. I went to Starehe School, so I think you know what that means. I just didn't have those privileges. But there's one thing I had: the drive never to give up. So you could be disillusioned, but one thing I can tell you, do not give up. You can learn that at least from me. Do not give up. most of you who are seated here, you are leaders in your own right. Indeed, I've heard one call himself a commander-in-chief. At least is aspirational, eh? All right? You are leaders in your own right. One of my challenges to you is that use that creativity you have. Think outside the box. I was working part-time for KBC that time. They couldn't give me a full-time job. Then I reached out to Radio Netherlands World Service. I became a stringer. I reached out to BBC. I became a stringer. I reached out to NHK of Japan. I became a stringer. And before long, I was earning more than the PS of the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting that time. Which means I did not only look at what was here in this country. So that by the time I was 26, I was able to buy my first piece of land in Karen. Yeah. If you want to, it was 100,000 shillings those days. Yeah. I have the record. But my father was not a minister. My father was not an MCA. My father was just a railway clerk with 21 other children. So he could not take me anywhere. I'm just sharing this with you, not to show off, but to tell you that your situation is not any worse than the situation of many other Kenyans before you. In fact, in many respects, you are better off. You can get jobs, online jobs. You can do some research. You can do back office operations. There are all manner of things that you're able to do rather than sit and complain and complain and complain. I'm not saying you don't complain. I'm saying you cannot just continue to complain and do nothing else except complaining. All right? So really, I'm challenging you that when I leave this place, I can promise you everything which is written in the Jubilee Manifesto. But as you wait for what will come out of Jubilee Manifesto or not, you must take charge of your own destiny. If I don't tell you that, I'm just cheating you. If you want somebody who is honest, I'll tell you what is honest. If you want me to cheat you, it's okay. Can I start? Yeah? It's not necessary. It's not necessary. So I really know exactly where you're coming from. I was asked so many questions. You talked about extrajudicial killing. I think that should not happen. Just like I think that no boyfriend should kill no boyfriend should kill her girlfriend in college. It happens, isn't it? Just like no girl should commit suicide because they have been dumped by a boyfriend. Just like no son should kill their sister or should kill their mother or should kill their father over a piece of land. These are reflections of our own society, of the breakdown of morality, the breakdown of values, and I think it is our responsibility, all of us, to fight them. It cannot be that everything is government, government, government. Government has its role, but all of us have got the responsibility to take charge of our lives. Support to athletes, I was glad that you have represented the country. All right? Unfortunately, are you a student? And you stayed in a student's hostel, not a 5-star hotel. I mean, and where was this? Out of the country? You're so lucky you have even flown out of this place, not all of us, you know? So I think some of this you should take with a pinch of salt. But look at what a lot of Kenyans have done with the athletics prowess that they have. If you go to Eldoret A lot of the nice homes you see there are from our athletes. They didn't get anything from government. They've got it from their own sweat. So if you have that talent that you're already able to represent the country, work hard so that you can also make money from that profession, that talent that you have. Yes, it is important that the state works and does everything to get jobs for you. That is the primary responsibility of leadership, and I can tell you, I was also your age some years back. And it was a responsibility for the state to get me a job. Unfortunately, my sister is there, we are contemporaries. The state did not get me a job that time. The first time that I can say I ever did a state job, those who know my background in broadcasting, it was part-time. The first time I got a state job is when I contested to be a member of parliament. So no state job was provided for me. It is our responsibility as government to create the atmosphere in which people can thrive, people can do business, economy can grow so that people get opportunity. But that will only happen when we deal with vices like corruption, runaway corruption that we are having in the country. But I told you, we'll not deal with corruption for as long as we think that our tribe should not be asked when they're corrupt. So again, the responsibility, we are also part of it. I'm sure if I stood here with my brother Wetangula, and you're from Bungoma, and you are asked to vote for one of us to lead, you'll vote the Bungoma guy. True or not true? Yeah? So that is, that's part of our challenge. And that's not only me, it's all of us in this room. So we should also take responsibility for the malady, the illness that we are going through as a country today. You talked about Eastern community and you've raised some issues which I think are worth looking at, but I can tell you our relationship with Tanzania, Uganda, and Kenya is work in progress. You may not know, but Tanzania has, for example, never forgiven Kenya for the breakup of the East African community in 1978. I can admit to you right here that that time when it was broken, it was the mistake of Kenya. So they have not forgiven us. All right? So it is crimes of our fathers, which is making us go through what we go through. But you can also not say it crimes of our fathers. There was also the international geopolitical alignment. Tanzania was aligned to China. Kenya was aligned to the Western world. And our policies could not gel and work together. So the community, it was inevitable that it breaks. But the breakage was initiated from the Kenyan side. And in some respects, they have never recovered from it, because when the planes, East African Airways aircraft came to Kenya, we confiscated them. So since that time, Uganda Airways never picked up, neither did Tanzania. All right? So there's a lot of subtext in our relationship with our neighbors. And it is something that we are trying to deal with. I'm being brutally honest. You've never had that before, have you? Never. Okay. All right. Okay. Why are we pushing you to join Al-Shabaab? I want to tell you, my children, most of you are my children. I want to tell you, if I had jobs, do you think I could keep it away from you? If I had the jobs, would I just decide that I don't want you to get the jobs? Yeah? Okay? I mean, I want to tell you, it cannot be the desire of those of us who are in the positions that we occupy at this moment and time that Kenyans should be suffering. I cannot wake up in the morning and work the whole day and go to bed and pat myself in the back that today I got so many millions to be miserable. The situation is very difficult. I did explain to you why, for example, we are in the situation in which we are in so many respects. The youth population bulge, an economy which did not grow fast enough when our population was skyrocketing. Several other international dynamics. We have challenges. For example, I'll give you, look at South Korea. In 1963-64, they were at the same economic level with us. Today, we are nowhere near them. What is one of the reasons? Because they had a much, much better direction in terms of their policies. Key amongst them was transition from primary school to secondary school. They were at 95 to 98% transition to high school when we were at the level of about 30%. Over a period of 50 years, it shows. So I can understand the anger. And I can understand why you would not even want to listen. But that does not change the fundamentals. So we are where we are because not only of the problems of today, but of the problems of the past. Thank you very much. My best wishes.
So thank you very much. The SecGen is requesting to leave. Youth, interesting conversations. Bado tunaendelea na kazi. Thank you so much. I really appreciate. Just to tell you that it's not only the role of the government to create employment for us. It is not the role of the government only to provide employment for us. So that is why in our next panel discussion, we are going to have a young politician from Denmark, Miss Clara Havosen. But actually, sorry, we're going to take a break. Then we're going to talk to civil society. We're going to talk to a young parliamentarian from another country, that is Denmark.
Kaboge.
We are going to talk to the young MCA. We're going to talk to a young MP as well. So conversations will go on. It is not just for the government, but civil society is here, and let's learn from other people.
All
so,
right.
tafadhali msiende, please don't leave. Let the DJ entertain us. If you want to dance and shake a
told you-
beat, ni sawa.
I told
Thank
you that the Senator Sakaja is coming, yeah? So, wase tutulie.
The CEO.
As we get entertained, Nyota Ndogo is also in the house. Sijui kama uko na reggae, nipatie reggae hapo. Uko na reggae hapo? Uko na reggae? Kuna reggae. So, as we change, as we get the other panel in place, I also have performers from Denmark, Martin, Clara, the Three Musketeers. You must perform. We will get entertainment from Denmark. So, we still have a lot to do. Twende kazi. Let's consult on the side. Let's consult on the side. Wapi makofi ya Kaboge na timu yake. This guy is called Kaboge. Kaboge Chagala with his team, Rasta. Percussion discussion. Now, there are several changes to what we had planned. And the changes keep coming. But then, you know, we will flow with the changes. This is the inaugural People Dialogue Festival. We are learning things as we go by, but we will go on. All right? So, as I get these seats on stage, just get the seats alone, it's fine, I think. I think we just have the seats peke yake without the mesas. Yeah. I have a number of panelists, so niweke viti kama ngapi? Tano manini. Tano. Okay. I also have some MCAs, young MCAs, whom I'll bring them to join you so that to make the discussion more lively. Okay? So as I told you guys, Nyota Ndogo is in the house. Wale wanakumbuka viatu, kuna viatu na hiyo
Watu na viatu. Watu na viatu.
watu na viatu. Oh, kuna watu. Oh, kuna watu na viatu dunia hii. Yuko area sana. Kuna mtu sijui alipigwa katava ama nini. Linet B Moruri. Sijui kama alipigwa katava ini yako. So we've changed. We were supposed to have Diana moderating this session, but we're gonna have Kawive. Kawive will introduce himself. So let me have the panelists come on so that we start this. Let me have Clara. Clara is from the Social Liberal Party of Denmark. Makofi kwa Clara. Clara is from Denmark. Mrs. Nerima Wako is ours here from Siasa Place. Tupige makofi, Nerima Wako. Chris Mark, has Chris Mark arrived? Chris Mark? Pigeni Chris Mark makofi. Now, I will add 2 MCAs here. This, how wako. So you will just include them in your questioning and your discussion. So Joyce Waboy, MCA from Oranga County. Where is she? Alafu na Luko Pora from Bungoma. Yuko. Luke. Salimia Kawive. Okay. So the MCAs, I know you were not briefed, so you will flow with the punches. Ole, and Tiwaine Olenchoko. Yuko wapi? Tiwaine Olenchoko. Patie kiti pia. Tiwaine. Fungua isako kidogo. This is going to be a very lively discussion. Tiwaine Olenchoko. Where is Joyce Waboy? Joyce. You have a Joyce? All right. Pakia Joyce kiti pande. Salimia Kawive. Kawive is the moderator. So, guys, this is what's going to happen. It's not random. It's not random. But out of necessity, we're going to have this panel, and we're going to have discussions around youth inclusion into a topic that Kawive is supposed to tackle, constitutional, legal, and institutional reforms key to Kenya's democratic renewal. So these guys, they're going to discuss it. Please, let's make it as lively as possible. Baadaye. This is going to take around 1.5 hours. So, Kawive. So, let me invite Kawive Wabua to take it over. Kawive, karibu.
Thank you.
Other microphones on the table.
Thank you so much. I think we have a large panel. We have 2 issues to deal with. Number 1 is youth inclusion, and with it, the legal, constitutional, and institutional reforms that we need in this country to make Kenya have what is called a democratic renewal. Of course, Clara here does not know much about the Kenyan scene, but she's going to talk to us about examples from Denmark and how especially youth are included in political, social, institutional, and other reform processes in the country. So I want to welcome all of you to this discussion. Wamboi, karibu sana. Opora, karibu sana. Clara, karibu sana. Nerima, karibu sana. Mark, karibu sana. And Taiwo, Tiwaine Nchoko. Hey, I just asked him, how do you say, how are you in Kima? And he said, super. Super. So guys, we've got 2 issues here. Number 1, youth inclusion. That has been a question throughout the day here. The youth are feeling that they participate in being told, and that is the beginning and the end of the conversation. They are not included beyond hearing. Okay? And especially so when there are people in front of them telling them things. And the other issue is, now we are thinking about making the Kenya democratic space, to renew it. There's been a lot of hue and cry that we want to have a renewed democratic engagement in this country. What does that mean? What does it mean that for Kenya we want a renewal? Are we saying that we have issues, problems that need to be resolved? And what are these issues? Constitutional, legal, and institutional reforms. What do we need to make Kenya a new country? But to start us off, I would like to invite Nerima to say something about youth inclusion. What are the dynamics of youth inclusion in this country?
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thanks, Diana. That's quite a loaded question. When we talk about youth inclusion, with Siasa Place, my organization, we look mainly at public participation a lot. So Tuaweza did a research, and when we look at youth, the average age 19, but when we look at the bracket of 18 to 24, that's the least participation, the least. So yani, if we had a public participation forum, even like right now this room, there are more youth than any public participation forum. And so when you look at it nationally, it means that when we talk about devolution with so much pride and public participation as being one of the avenues for youth to participate, that means majority of our population is not participating. It's actually at 24%. So I would say that it's there in the constitution, but implementation is another story. And it's not necessarily something that even, for instance, governors see as important to talk to youth or to engage youth. And also, youth don't really see the importance of engaging because of lack of information toward that.
Is it lack of information, Nerima, or is it just that there's just too much talk and nothing concrete? After we have participated, is there anything that you'd see? Is that what is keeping them away?
It's so complex. Like, I've attended some public forums where people will just read things that have already been decided, and so your opinion doesn't count. And then I've attended some where youth will actually give an opinion, and then it's just not picked up or collected and nothing happens. But I have seen a difference as to when you educate, because it's lack of information. Where are you taught about the Constitution? Did you learn it in school unless you're a lawyer? Exactly. So there's lack of information. So if people knew about those avenues, youth do put pressure. They do, and I've seen it working even now. And once youth are knowledgeable, it actually scares political leaders. Because now they feel, I have to do something for my people so that they do not chase me out of my own office one day when I come and I've not made promises that I've not kept the promises that I made.
Okay. Thank you so much, Clara. Nerima, I'm thinking about Clara because I'm thinking that she has different experiences from what we have in this country. Maybe you can share that a bit. Before we come to Waheshimiwa, the Waheshimiwa, these are the people who we are being told don't involve the youth in decision making. They'll tell us right now, as they tell us what reforms they are. But Clara, how are youth involved, or how are they included in political processes, in decision making, and in sharing the national cake?
I think youth in Denmark are included, but actually youth in Denmark faces just the same problems as youth all around and youth here. I think it's a global fight for youth to be heard, and in Denmark we experience exactly the same things, that sometimes even we are invited as youth to participate, but are given speech notes that then we should say something that is okay or that is approved, or we are invited but not listened to. We see that, and we see that quite often, and I think that's important to say and important to remember that in Denmark, I fight every day to be heard and to have the right to be young and to have an opinion. But of course, there are also some initiatives that allow youth in Denmark to have an opinion and to participate. We have a very, very strong independent youth council that is not a part of the government, not a part of the state, but are receiving money in order to be independent and to engage and empower youth all around Denmark. It's empowering the different youth organizations, so first of all, with funding, so they're able to run, so they're not being dependent on the state or depending on having a specific opinion in order to be heard. And they're educating youth all around in Denmark in raising their voices, in participating in democracy, in the importance of voting, in the importance of speaking up for your right. And I think that is one of the strongest initiatives that we have. And then just to highlight one thing, we figured out the exact same thing as you, that youth were not participating in democracy in Denmark. And it's a big problem. We have a really high voting percentages at our elections. And we could see that youth started not to vote. And when youth are not voting now, as young people, they're not voting when they get older, and suddenly you have a really, really big democratic problem. So now every second year, the Youth Council, together with the Danish Parliament, is running school elections, where we run a parliamentarian elections for school kids all around Denmark. They get education on the parties, they get education on democracy, they get education on how to participate, and then all the youth parties in Denmark are going out to all schools, even the smaller schools, and they run debates, and you can ask them anything you want about the topic that's really important to you as a youth, and they answer the debate, and then you go vote, and the kids are 12 or 13 or 14 years old, and they go vote for the parties, and then you can actually see that they start participate more in democracy. So that's one thing we do.
Clara, you were elected to the Danish Youth Council.
Yeah.
How did that process, how did you get, we have a youth council in this country, which at some point, I think, Nalima, you'll correct me, but disappeared. Or it's still there? It's still there. Okay. But you are elected. How are the processes?
How is the process? Because the Youth Council is representing all of the youth organizations in Denmark, right now 77 youth organizations, then all these organizations can put in members for the board, and then you run in a transparent elections. And we were too many running for the board, so we had to stand up, make a speech, tell about our visions for the Youth Council, how we want to put the Youth Council forward, and then at the Congress, then everyone there votes, and then you get elected. And there's no states pointing at who should be there, who should not. And if you perform badly, then you're not elected next time.
Okay, thank you. Waheshimiwa, representatives of the people elected or nominated through party processes and others. What is your take on youth inclusion in this country? And as we are thinking about a democratic renewal of Kenya, what is the place of youth? Let's start with the Wamboi at the end.
Thank you. Well, I would say the inclusion is not that good. And probably I will start with the policies that are there for the Kenyan youths. And I will say the policies are there, very good, very nice. But at the level of implementation, that is where we have problems. For instance, most of the people who are here, they remember I asked Senator Wetangula and the other lady what they are doing about the 30% Procurement Act. I also wanted to let you know that as MCAs, we only make laws or bylaws in our respective counties. So it becomes very difficult for us to create laws that will govern the whole country or youth at large. So we have been made to look like we are political pawns, such that when it's political time, that is when youth matters. And when it's times for inclusion, we are given so many narratives. We are given issues that we don't have enough skills. We are the people who are stealing. Probably we have this and that. So what are we trying to say? Yesterday, I told most of the people who are here that we cannot be able to advocate for youth until we create a body amongst ourselves. We organize ourselves and we start speaking as a voice. And like when you speak as one.
Okay.
So for once, we need to organize ourselves because you've seen even for the leaders that were here. Really, our interests do not really matter to them. And also, I don't know if you know that 85% of our population today in Kenya is below 35 years. So for sure, we are sitting on a time bomb that will surely explode. So it's time that we need to start thinking about youth.
Clara said that there are no laws as such, but there is a body which is funded by the Exchequer to popularize and to educate youth issues. And basically what you have said, and I know National Youth I know there's a National Youth Council, and I'm told the representative of the Youth Council are here. Eric is here, and we will ask Eric just to give us a run on what is happening with the Youth Council. Why are you saying, Wamboi, and I don't want you to answer this, why are you saying that we do not have a voice as the youth? We are not collectivized. There's a National Youth Council, we will come to that. But, Mheshimiwa, do the youth fight? Do they fight for their space? Do they get it if they fight? What happens?
I will say, sorry, I'm trying to, Kawive. Yes, the youth do fight for their space. And it's good that I can see she's from the Youth Council of Denmark. I had a chance to be in Denmark back in 2014, courtesy of Bent and able chair of CMD then. And for me to go there, I had fought for that space to be in that CMD board. I was the youngest board member. I served in the CMD. My able chair is still there, Omingo Magara. And one of the things I noticed that I had the space and I had fought for it, but there would always be a meeting after a meeting. And I wouldn't blame the senior members in the board, because to them they felt maybe I've just been put there to fit that criteria of youth. So I also had to prove myself. So I started making sure I would get the quarterly reports and also contribute. So yes, the space is there, but the problem with the space, it is taken as a criteria to maybe feel that issue that the youth need to be somewhere. That is why, as Kenya young members of County Assembly, we really brought the MCAs together, because there are 1,027 under 35. And if they do not have the skills and power, they shall always remain as a statistic, so that when you go to the party, they say, yes, we nominated youth. But exactly what are they doing? That is why we said the biggest tool we can have as MCAs to help our fellow youths is understand the budget-making process, caucusing, and even legislation making, because I've been around the country and, I can speak, and my colleagues are here. You find that there is no motion which has been passed, example, in a county, because anytime a motion comes, maybe the youth was not empowered enough to know how to draft it, so the House Business Committee locks it up. So at the end of the day, yes, there's that space, but that space has limitations in the sense that it is taken as to fit a certain criteria or a certain requirement, so that, when you go somewhere, we are told Constitution chapter 55 says we should do this for the youth, So it shouldn't be just a space without the empowerment, because the youth will end up not achieving their goal, and they will start saying, you see, we said the youth cannot make it, and you see? And before I finish, there's example, Dave wants to go for the Suna West MP. If he's given a space in, let me assume it's ODM or Jubilee then, but he's not empowered to be in the decision-making part of the party. He will not be the favorite candidate, not because he has not the agenda or anything, but he's not empowered to know how to deliver or how to actually woo the voters.
I am actually hoping, very seriously, that you are not saying that we write a law which expressly says that youth should be given without fighting. I hope that is not what...
But, no, definitely.
Definitely. Thank you. So, Mheshimiwa from Kajiado, tell us, what is your view about youth inclusion? And also start us off on the issue of constitutional and other institutional reforms that are necessary for democratic renewal, and what will the youth do? Right now we are hearing so many people talking, referendum, change which law, IBC must go home. No, those are words out there. What is the stake of the youth?
Thank you, Kawive, right? First of all, I am not a Mheshimiwa person. You could call me Mheshimiwa for just being a Kenyan, and that's okay. But I'm neither an MCA nor a member of parliament.
No, but I'm also a Mheshimiwa.
Thank you. So we agree on that. If I might give you the example of Narok. Narok does not have that many young people in the assembly, but there are a number. Apart from the people who are nominated by various political parties, there are MCAs who actually won, who are elected by the people, who are young people, as young as I am. some even younger. When we were having plenary discussions yesterday, the issues of youth and women, you realize, are very critical in the sense that every time youth is mentioned, every time women issues are mentioned, there is a tendency to gravitate towards an argument that women and youth want freebies. And that is not the case. I think the Waheshimiwa who are here will tell you that they are fighting for their space, as MCS, as members of parliament. And I think it's very important to mention that even in the National Assembly, we have young men and women who are elected to that house. The youngest member of the National Assembly from one of the constituencies in Meru is around 25, 26. We have...
where did he go?
I don't know. But I know he was elected by his people. We have guys like, is a member of parliament called Osoro, there's Mohammed Ali, quite a number of young guys. So I think to begin with, we are making progress, and it's gradual. I want to believe that it can only be drastic if it's a violent revolution, which is not what we want. So in terms of, youth fighting for their space, they are doing it. We may not have found that one voice, that one platform, but we are making progress. And I think it's very important to mention that. Now, when it comes to issues of laws and policies, let us first agree that we have a very progressive constitution. Today we have a youth quota and a women quota in leadership and in procurement because of the law. Now, whether that law and those policies are being implemented is a different discussion altogether, because most people will agree that that is not the case. Now, can we as youth make practical steps, up our involvement in leadership with the current set of laws and policies? My answer would be yes. What we need to do is to organize ourselves. Yesterday, when someone mentioned the Building Bridges initiative and the fact that they were at KICC collecting views yesterday while we were here, the youth who are in the auditorium were not aware that the Building Bridges initiative was actually collecting views at KICC, and one of the interest groups that had been invited was the youth. So if we had a properly functional, structured way of communicating, if this youth council is able to communicate to all the relevant branches, be it political parties, be it other independent bodies, people that have come together and organized themselves to project the youth voice. If you're able to disseminate this information to those people, they will be able to show up and give relevant and critical memoranda to either the BBI or whichever other body wants to get the views of the youth. As it is, I think we are too scattered. Everyone is talking about